A delay stores a sound on a chip and then plays it back at whatever time you like. The delayed signal can also be fed back into the input to get the well-known sound of feedback or regeneration where the signal repeats. Just as you need to learn the details of the frequency spectrum, you must also get to know how each delay time feels. It's the type of feeling or emotion that different delay time ranges evoke that you use to remember differences in delay times. We can also use the relationship between delay time and distance in the studio to help us to get to know different delay times. Sound travels close to 1 foot per millisecond.
1,000 milliseconds equals 1 second.
That means for every 1 foot in the studio, you're adding 1 millisecond of delay time. Therefore, it's very easy to hear a delay between two mics set at different distances. We can show how different delay times look quite clearly. Here is 500 milliseconds. Here is 100 milliseconds of delay time. Here's 40 milliseconds. Now, when we have a delay time less than 30 milliseconds, an unusual thing happens. Our ear and brain are not quick enough to hear two sounds. Our ear perceives this quick of a delay time as one fat sound. This effect is one of the most important and useful for a recording engineer. Any instrument can be made into stereo with fattening. It can be used to fill out a mix so as to make it sound fuller. It can be used to make an otherwise wimpy sound fatter, fuller, and bigger. It can also make a sound more present so that it can be turned down in the mix but still be discernible. Now, if we pan the original dry signal to one side and the delay to the other side, the sound seems to be stretched between the speakers like this. Now, if we add feedback to a sound, the sound repeats itself like this. What's happening is the output of the delay, the echo, is being fed back into the input of the delay to be repeated again. Adding a delay to a sound is the same as adding another sound or instrument to the mix. Therefore, it will always tend to make the mix seem fuller because there are more sounds to occupy the limited space between the speakers. You normally add delays to a mix only if you have room for them. Therefore, you wouldn't add delays to a very busy mix with a lot of instruments and a lot of notes. The exception would be heavy metal, alternative rock, and some new age music. These styles of music are commonly mixed to create a wall of sound. Therefore, to add another sound to fill this space can be just awesome.
Yeah, Phil Spector.
Yeah, he created that wall of sound type mix.
Rules.
When the delay time is long enough to hear two sounds, then the delayed signal can be treated just like another track, another sound. Therefore, the volume and panning can be set any way that you see fit.
As sweet as any harmony, but you blinded me with science, and failed me in biology. Yeah.
If you set the delay time for less than 30 milliseconds and crank up the feedback, you get an effect called tubing.
Totally tubular.
If you then change the delay time, you get an effect that sounds like this. If we set a clock to change the delay time on its own, we get the effect commonly called flanging. Notice that as the delay time gets shorter, the pitch seems to rise. As the delay time gets longer, the pitch seems to fall. Now, if we set the width or depth so that the sweep of the delay time is not so wide like this, then we have the effect commonly called chorusing.
It's poetry in motion. She turned her tender eyes to me, as deep as any ocean, as sweet as any harmony. But you blinded me with science, and failed me in biology. biology, yeah.
If we set the delay time so that we are only sweeping between 0 and 1 milliseconds, we have the effect commonly called phasing.
It's poetry in motion. She turned her tender eyes to me, as deep as any ocean, as sweet as any harmony. But she blinded me with science, and failed me in biology, yeah.
All of these effects, flanging, chorusing, and phasing, are just changing short delay times with lots of feedback or regeneration.
In 1957, Tony Fisher was doing an album when someone accidentally leaned on the reels of the tape player like this. The tape slowed down, and then when they got back up, it sped back up to normal speed like this. The band went, cool, let's put it on the record. The song, The Big Hurt, went to #3 on the charts in 1957.
Now you can also change the speed or rate of the flange, like so. You could set the rate of the sweep to the tempo of the song, or you could set it so that it is rising on one chord and going down on another chord. Or you could even set it so that it rises on the first half of the verse and falls on the second half of the verse. Flanging is commonly used to create a more spacey type of mood in the mix, sometimes used to create an otherworldly effect. It's great for the underwater type of effect. Chorusing is commonly used to simulate the effect that you get when you have a chorus of people or a chorus of instruments. Phasing is a very subtle effect, so subtle that it's the kind of effect that when used at Grateful Dead concerts, the crowd often wonders if the effect is actually coming from inside their head.
I thought it was inside my head.
Each of these effects can be panned in various ways, like this. Each can also be brought out front with volume, and raised or lowered a little bit with EQ. We'll explore more details about these effects in future videos, including how they are commonly used in mixes for different styles of music.
She goes again!